Hi everybody! Today I'm going to teach you about prepositional phrases. You can find more videos like this on my website at EnglishUnits.com or my YouTube channel at youtube.com/EnglishUnits. If this video helps you, click subscribe to get automatic notifications of future videos on my channel. This video is part 2 of a 3-part video series. So what is a prepositional phrase? A prepositional phrase is a group of words with a preposition plus an object, plus many prepositional phrases have one or more modifiers. A preposition is a word that shows a connection or relationship between other words in a sentence. In a moment, I'm going to show you several examples. An object is a noun or pronoun that comes after the preposition in the sentence. A modifier is a word or words that describe or modify the object. Here are 3 examples of prepositional phrases: at school, before the game, and from my mom. Like all prepositional phrases, each of these begins with a preposition. At, before, and from are the prepositions in these prepositional phrases. Can you spot the objects or noun or pronoun that comes after each preposition? The objects in these phrases are school, game, and mom. And can you spot the modifiers that describe or modify each of those objects? The modifiers are the, which modifies game, and my, which modifies mom. Here are many examples of some of the most common prepositions used in English. You'll notice that many prepositions are short words like at, by, for, from, and in. Many prepositions are also long words. Also, many prepositions are made up of more than one word, for example, along with, because of, in addition to, and so on. Prepositions and prepositional phrases give us details like time, place, direction, and other information in a sentence. Examples of prepositional phrases that tell time include after school, at 9 a.m., before the game, by noon, during the day, and so on. As you see, I've put the prepositions in blue, and each of these phrases contains an object, plus many of them contain a modifier. Examples of prepositional phrases that tell us place or location include across the street, above the window, around the corner, at school, behind the door, and so on. Prepositional phrases that tell us the direction or where something's going or coming from include away from here, down the drain, from my mom, into the car, off the bike, and others. And finally, for those that don't fit neatly into the category of time, place, or direction, I've included the category of other, and these include against everyone, along with others, because of me, by a famous author, despite the problems, and so on. Of course, there are many other prepositional phrases. These are just some of the many examples. Now, we're going to talk about the types of prepositional phrases, including adjective prepositional phrases and adverb prepositional phrases. Note that sometimes you might hear people call these adjectival and adverbial prepositional phrases. An adjective prepositional phrase describes a noun or a pronoun. For example, the dogs in the park run. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase in the park describes the noun dogs. Some of the food is delicious. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase of the food describes the pronoun some. Both of these prepositional phrases are adjective prepositional phrases because they describe a noun and a pronoun. Notice that also both of these prepositional phrases follow the word they describe. This is often the case with prepositional phrases. You'll see a few more examples of this in a moment. Adverb prepositional phrases describe a verb, adjective, or adverb. For example, we ate before school. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase before school describes the verb ate. It tells when we ate. She is tall for her age. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase for her age describes the adjective tall. And finally, students study late at night. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase at night describes the adverb late. Notice again, each of the prepositional phrases come after the word they describe. In a moment, we'll practice identifying types of prepositional phrases in sentences. To do that, follow these steps. Now let's practice. The birds fly in the sky. Step 1. Find the prepositional phrase in the sentence. Do you see it? In this sentence, the prepositional phrase is in the sky. Step 2. Find the word the phrase describes. Identify its part of speech as a noun, verb, adjective, or other part of speech. So, which word in this sentence does in the sky describe or tell us more about? In this sentence, in the sky describes the word fly because it tells us where the birds fly. But what about birds? Doesn't in the sky describe birds? Remember what we said a few moments ago. Often, a prepositional phrase will come right after the word it describes, and in this sentence that's true. This isn't always true, but it is a helpful tip that you can use in this sentence and many others. And what about the part of speech? What part of speech is the word fly? Fly is an action word. It's telling us what the birds are doing, so it's a verb. Step 3. Identify the phrase as an adjective prepositional phrase describing a noun or pronoun, or adverb prepositional phrase describing a verb, adjective, or adverb. Because in the sky describes a verb, we know that it's an adverb prepositional phrase. Let's look at the next sentence. The birds in the sky fly. Notice this sentence is really similar to the sentence we just reviewed. There are a few differences though. Step 1. Find the prepositional phrase. The prepositional phrase in this sentence is in the sky, just like in our last sentence. Step 2. Find the word the phrase describes. Identify its part of speech as a noun, verb, adjective, or other part of speech. So, which word in this sentence does in the sky describe? The, birds, or fly? In this sentence, in the sky describes the word birds. So, how do we know that? How do we know it doesn't describe fly like it did in our last sentence? We know because when we talk about prepositional phrases, it's not always true, but it's often true that a prepositional phrase describes the word right in front of it. That's true in this sentence and the last sentence. So, if you're confused about which word a prepositional phrase describes, you can remember this tip and it might help. So, which part of speech is the word birds? Birds is a noun. Finally, we can do step 3 and identify the phrase as an adjective prepositional phrase or an adverb prepositional phrase. So which is it? In the sky in this sentence is an adjective prepositional phrase because it's describing a noun. Let's review one more sentence. We play soccer after all classes and our exams. Step 1. Find the prepositional phrase. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase is pretty long. Do you see it? After all classes and our exams. This prepositional phrase has two objects, classes and exams. That's why it's so long. Step 2. Find the word the phrase describes. Identify its part of speech as a noun, verb, adjective, or other part of speech. So, which word does it describe? We, play, or soccer? After all classes and our exams describes the word play. We know that because it tells us when we play soccer. Now we need to identify the part of speech of the word play. Play is an action word, so it's a verb. And finally, step 3, identify the phrase as an adjective prepositional phrase describing a noun or pronoun, or an adverb prepositional phrase, which describes a verb, adjective, or adverb. Which one is this? This one is an adverb prepositional phrase because it describes a verb. Now, let's practice what you've learned. For these 8 sentences, draw a box around the prepositional phrase. Underline the word the phrase describes and write whether each phrase is an adjective prepositional phrase or an adverb prepositional phrase. Remember, each sentence could have more than one prepositional phrase. Pause the video while you work, and we'll check the answers in just a few moments. Now let's check our answers. Sentence 1. The students without umbrellas stood outside. First, let's find the prepositional phrase. The prepositional phrase is without umbrellas. Now, which word in the sentence does without umbrellas tell us more about or describe? Without umbrellas tells us more about the word students. It tells us which students, the students without umbrellas. Finally, students is a noun, so the prepositional phrase without umbrellas is an adjective prepositional phrase because it describes a noun in the sentence. Sentence 2. During lunch, we ate pizza and salad. First, the prepositional phrase is during lunch. Now, which word does this phrase describe? During lunch tells us more about the word ate. It tells us when we ate. What part of speech is ate? It's a verb. So, this prepositional phrase is an adverb prepositional phrase. Sentence 3. Before they called you, they drove to the store by the park. This sentence has two prepositional phrases. The first prepositional phrase is to the store. To the store describes the word drove because it tells where they drove. What part of speech is drove? It's a verb. Therefore, we know that to the store is an adverb prepositional phrase because it describes the verb drove. The second prepositional phrase in this sentence is by the park. Now, which word does this prepositional phrase describe? Store is the word that by the park describes. Now, what part of speech is store? Store is a noun, so we know that by the park is an adjective prepositional phrase because it describes the noun store. And what about before they called you? Is that a prepositional phrase? No. Sometimes before is a preposition, but in this sentence it isn't. How do we know? When before is a preposition, it's followed by an object. But here, before is followed by a subject and a verb, they called. A preposition will not be followed by a subject and verb, so we know that in this sentence, before is not a preposition and before they called you is not a prepositional phrase. Sentence 4. We have played basketball inside since 4 p.m. The prepositional phrase is since 4 p.m. Now, which word in the sentence does since 4 p.m. describe or tell us more about? Since 4 p.m. tells us more about have played. It tells us when we have played. What part of speech is have played? It's a verb. Therefore, we know that since 4 p.m. is an adverb prepositional phrase because it describes a verb. Sentence 5. Right now, let's eat toast with jelly. First, the prepositional phrase here is with jelly. Now, which word does with jelly describe? This phrase describes the word toast. What part of speech is toast? It's a noun. Therefore, with jelly is an adjective prepositional phrase because it describes a noun. Sentence 6. Last week, the exam took over 2 hours to finish. So first let's find our prepositional phrase. So the prepositional phrase is over 2 hours. Which word does the phrase over 2 hours describe in this sentence? In this sentence, over 2 hours describes took. It tells how long it took. And what part of speech is took? It's a verb. So, because took is a verb, we know that this prepositional phrase is an adverb prepositional phrase because it describes the verb took. Sentence 7. Many students travel around the world to learn languages. First, the prepositional phrase is around the world. Now, which word in the sentence does this phrase describe or tell us more about? Around the world describes the word travel. It tells us where the students travel. And what part of speech is travel? It's a verb. So we know that around the world is an adverb prepositional phrase because it describes the verb travel. Now, what about to learn languages? Is that a prepositional phrase? It is not. It looks a little like a prepositional phrase because languages is a noun and to sometimes is a preposition, but not here. How do I know? Because to is followed by a verb in that phrase, to learn. When to is followed by a verb, it's not a preposition, but part of a verb infinitive. So to learn languages is not a prepositional phrase. Sentence 8. Since they arrive, they have stayed inside their home each day. First, let's find the prepositional phrase. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase is inside their home. Which word in the sentence does inside their home describe or tell us more about? This phrase tells us more about have stayed. It tells us where they have stayed. And what part of speech is have stayed? It's a verb. Because the prepositional phrase describes a verb, we know that inside their home is an adverb prepositional phrase. Now what about since they arrived? Isn't since a preposition? Sometimes since is a preposition, but not here. Because since is followed by a subject they and a verb arrived, we know that in this sentence it's not a preposition but a conjunction. If since was a preposition, it would be followed by an object. We've now reached the end of the video. I hope that this video helped you understand what a prepositional phrase is, plus how to identify the word a prepositional phrase describes. Thank you for watching.